Hello and welcome to Storytime with Demoblah. This is another video that's not a video. It's all just audio and good, fun storytelling time. And the first portion of this was the Wonderful Wisdom Teeth Adventure Part 1, which was all the pre-surgery thingies. And now I get to talk about Part 2, which is, I think, fun for some people, ridiculous for others, and ultimately just hilarious on YouTube to watch. Yep, that I'm talking about the part where everyone's all high on drugs and not in the other way, but in the legal and healthy for you way because you just had surgery taking wisdom teeth out or something like that. Anesthesia drugs. Gosh, don't do drugs, guys. Don't do drugs. Okay. So let's get started. We'll start with the surgery, I guess. So the surgery went... Yeah, I don't know how the surgery went. It just went. I woke up. I went to sleep. I didn't get to do the county thing. I do realize that. But I talked about the county thing. And then I woke up. And it was blurry. And I couldn't stand on things. My feet didn't quite work with that, so they had to hold me up. And then it came in kind of like flashes. So first I was in the chair, and then I was out of the chair, falling down, and then I was out of the office. Like, wah, wah, wah. And then I was in the car, and then my mom took me home and said, "Do you want a Frosty?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I fell asleep again. I was really out of it. Some after surgery stuff, like I had a little cut on the side of my mouth. I don't know, I guess it happens. I had impacted wisdom teeth, which is supposedly the more painful of the different types. I don't know what the other one is. Outpacted? I don't know. I have impacted yeah. And so my teeth weren't actually coming out. They're just in the sockets, and they had to completely cut the areas and blah, 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 medical terminology, pain. And I didn't really seem to get the dose of pain, but that might just be because I'm on pain meds, and pain meds are wonderful. It is a little sore, but that's fine. I also didn't get the normal squirrely look where it looks like I'm trying to store nuts for winter. I'm storing nothing for winter. I'm storing like 2 small mini marshmallows. That's pretty much what I look like. It didn't really bulge at all. If you know my general facial structure, you're like, oh, you look like a normal child you look like a normal Demoblah, except you've just gotten a little bit of weight recently. You should stop eating so much cheesecake. And then I would tell you, yes, but cheesecake is delicious. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to live with being fat and geeky. Yeah, no. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent. But yeah, I didn't really get the squirrely chipmunky look, but I did get a tad bit of the bloaty thing. Yeah, eventually these balloons, I'm sure, are going to pop. And everything's going to go terribly. But it's okay, because I got pain meds. So let's get to the fun part. I was completely messed up on drugs. And I got home, and my mom had promised me a Frosty, a Wendy's Frosty. I love those things. It's like better than a McFlurry. Not as good as normal ice cream, but it has a texture that when I'm just like not really into having normal ice cream, it's just a better texture overall. So I was like, wow, yes. And I came home, and then I fell asleep on the couch. And then I woke up. So there's a lot of me going out and then coming back in. And I woke up and I had one of those face wrap ice packs. And I was like, man, I'm like bearded with ice. And then I woke up and I was like, I want that Frosty. And they're like, yeah, okay, we got that Frosty. And they gave me this thing. And first off, I noticed something was wrong. In my hazy, drugged up mind, I noticed it says a UDF on it. that okay, here's my first person account of this kind of thing. What was going through my head? It says a UDF on it. It's striped. It's striped. I don't remember a Frosty being striped. And then my mom says, but it is a Frosty. That's what it says. And I said, okay. If you say it's a Frosty, it must be a Frosty. And then I opened up that Frosty, stuck a spoon in it, put a mouthful in my mouth, and I was like, there's no frost. This is exactly what was going through my head. There's no Frosty. It was not a Frosty. The cruel world out there had turned and given me something that was not the Frosty's anything. It was a Frosty. That's what it said on the lid, but it wasn't the Frosty that I Frosty for. It's the other Frosty. And I was like, man, my mind is blown. This has the weirdest texture. I don't like the texture, and it tastes like plastic. That's pretty much what I was thinking. And the reason why it tastes like plastic was not because it turns out to actually be something really disgusting. It was actually just because of drugs. I was drugged up and it tasted like plastic. The texture, we'll get to that later. But it turns out it wasn't a Frosty, and it was from UDF, and I'm going to say it wasn't actually half bad. I had the rest of it, well, part of it later, and it's really actually pretty good. But I was so disappointed. I was like, this is not Frosty. And then my parents were like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I was like, this isn't Frosty. So they're like, do you want some yogurt? And I was like, yeah, I love yogurt. I want some yogurt. And they gave me this bowl of yogurt. And I was so happy. I was like, even though I did get this Frosty, at least I get some yogurt, because I love vanilla yogurt. And then I went in there, and it didn't taste like yogurt. And I was like, this isn't yogurt. Oh my gosh. And my world just started crashing around me. Everything was going wrong. And I literally just started bawling right there. I just couldn't help it. I was like, Frosty's not Frosty and yogurt's not yogurt. And when Frosties aren't Frosties and yogurts aren't yogurt, what do? You just cry because your world has imploded and then expanded and Big Banged and then just told you that the Big Bang was a lie and instead it was an everywhere stretch. And yeah, it was disappointments in a box, in a jar, in a can, all inside of a mailbox, inside of a garbage can. And I was like super sad. And I was like, this is so bad. I wanted Frosty and I wanted yogurt and I got blah. Well, and then my mom started freaking out. Looked in the fridge and realized what she gave me was not vanilla yogurt at all. It was the plain, unflavored, disgusting stuff. That's right, plain unflavored, disgusting stuff. And she emergency prepped that vanilla yogurt that was in the fridge as fast as she could. And it helped a little bit, but I was still crying because that's what you do when you're drugged, you cry. And then they went and got me a Frosty, a real normal Frosty. Unfortunately, it was not chocolate. So, yep, that's right. I cried. That's pretty much like the biggest thing I did while under drugs. First thing, I was fed not vanilla yogurt, and I totally thought it was vanilla, so I cried because of that. And I was fed what turns out to be a Frosty malt. So it's like a Whopper, but awesomer. It's like a vanilla Whopper ice cream thing. And it was wonderful after I was not drugged, after I stopped being high on anesthetic things. It was wonderful. But when I was crazy and looking for a Frosty, it was definitely not that. So, yeah, I cried for that. And I'm running out of time. So, see you in part 3 of my wonderful wisdom teeth adventure. Crying while under drugs. Oh yeah, what a man. Yeah, okay. Toodaloo, toodles. See you next time. Toodles.